Oh, good gravy. Galler. It's something else. Ain't that right, Sonny? Yeah, all those stupid Pokemon I had to dodge when I was low leveled. Those stupid berries I had to shake off the tree, and then 3 is the optimal number, but I wanted to go for 10. I wanted all those berries, but those stupid fat squirrels, I forget their names because they always fall in my head. And the Cherubi, I remember those. Those are fine, but those stupid fat squirrels always take my berries. God, it's always annoying. And then, but hey, at least I got to make curry, and then all those gym battles were pretty cool. And then, but I had to wear that one stupid uniform all the time. And then the bike riding, and then all those weird people I met. Well, anyway, what's going on, guys? Score Bunny, or aka Sonny, as I like to call him, and myself have gone through a wholehearted journey in the region of Galar this time around for Pokemon Sword and Shield. My most anticipated game, it's very safe to say, for 2019. I've been waiting for this for a good amount of time now. And, you know, it finally came out. It's the first one of the traditional lineup anyway, on a console. You know, this is something I've been waiting for years as a kid. Now we're here, you know, with myself and my buddy right here. So, man, I really wanted to share my thoughts and experiences after completing it relatively quickly, and getting this review hopefully out soonish. I mean, it's a lot quicker than all the other games I've done in the past. So this is, you know, that momentum is still going. You know, the train for Pokemon is still strong for me. But anyways, before I go further into my full-hearted thoughts and experiences about this, Score Bunny and myself, or excuse me, Sonny, will let you guys take a look at the word of history that is Pokemon. The origin of Pokemon is quite fascinating and very appropriate to the principles of Pokemon. The creator of the franchise is co-founder of Game Freak and current president of the company, Satoshi Tajiri. Tajiri was initially inspired by his love for collecting insects in the countryside and wanted to become an entomologist. Unfortunately, his insect collecting days were cut short because of his hometown Machida within Tokyo was rapidly modernizing, paving over the habitats of the insects. And so, his interests shifted later on. He later became fascinated with video games, starting in the arcade, so much that his parents grew concerned for his education. He enjoyed playing games such as Space Invaders. His interest only grew bigger to the point of wanting to create ideas for new games. He even took his own Famicom apart to get an idea on how video games worked. At one point, Tajiri won a contest. That contest was sponsored by, funny enough, Sega. After earning his high school diploma, although not without trouble because of video games, he majored in electronics and computer science to earn a technical degree in a 2-year program in Tokyo National College of Technology. At some point, Tajiri and veteran Pokemon artist Ken Sugimori wanted to make their own games after seeing the lack of quality games, and thus they founded the company Game Freak in 1989, along with one other individual. The name Game Freak came from the gaming fanzine series that Tajiri and Sugimori worked on before. When he was creating Pokemon, he wanted to recreate his childhood experiences of collecting bugs so that children can appreciate the feeling of catching and collecting via Pokemon. In 1990, Tajiri also decided to create the game on the Game Boy because of its ability to connect to other Game Boys via link cable to battle and also trade Pokemon. Then, Tajiri pitched the idea of Pokemon to Nintendo. The company was impressed enough to play around with the idea further. Veteran game developer Shigeru Miyamoto took on mentorship to help guide Tajiri during the development process, who later was considered by Tajiri to be an influence. Fun little fact for Mr. Tajiri himself that a lot of people probably don't know about. Mr. Tajiri himself actually has autism. Perhaps this autism helped him be so fascinated with bugs during his childhood days, then on to video games. It's a strong characteristic within autistic people that they've become so fascinated and devoted to that interest, such as, collecting and taking things apart, and it all makes sense for Mr. Tajiri here. And also they tend to be very creative in very specific areas. And it would also explain why he had a little trouble with his education because of its devoted focus on other interests, so it would take time away from high school studies. And so this perhaps really helped create such a very fun series in the first place here. After some financial trouble within Game Freak and financial assistance from Creature Incorporated, the first Pokemon games were complete after its 6-year development cycle. Then, on February 27, 1996 in Japan, Pokemon Red and Green were released. Initially, the Game Boy was thought to be a dying system and the game was not expected to succeed and would be rejected later on. But with its growing popularity ever so slow but surely, Pokemon over time became a hot seller. Secrets floating around, including hidden Pokemon Mew, only increased the interest for the upcoming franchise. This helped Nintendo's waning sales and thus became one of Nintendo's top renowned franchises. Later on, Pokemon Red and Blue was released to the US on September 28, 1998, weeks after the first aired episode of the English-dubbed anime version of Pokemon. Fun little fact for the Japanese dub of the Pokemon anime series, Ash's original name is indeed Satoshi, named after the creator of Pokemon, Satoshi Tajiri. His rival Gary, whose original name is Shigeru is definitely the same name from Shigeru Miyamoto. So it is kind of cool if you think about it, since Ash and Gary are rivals. So Satoshi and Miyamoto, I guess you can look at it as a rivalry, since Pokemon and Mario are definitely two big franchises within Nintendo, and maybe they tend to clash together for a friendly competition. But we know, in terms of what makes more revenue, comes out on top here. The rest is history. Pokemon is something I hold dearly close, so close to my heart. Ever since I first laid my hands on Pokemon Blue. Of course, even before that, I remember my mom, importing the Japanese version of a Pokemon game, Pokemon Green. There was Pokemon Red, and then there's Green. That was how it went in Japan. And then, me and my sister went back and forth, taking turns on that big brick of a gray Game Boy that, that the poor kids had, you know what I mean? And then everyone else had the fancy Game Boy Pockets and the Game Boy Colors and all that stuff. But we went back and forth. We were fighting for it to play that one game that we had. And then the English version of Pokemon Blue came to my hand finally, and I had my own Game Boy by then. And I, as I said, I had my own experiences with my own Pokemon, and from there on, it's, pretty much the rest of that is history. It's really hard to say what is the exact pinpoint as to when I started to really love Pokemon as a franchise. There's just so much to say about what I love about this franchise, and especially for, as I was playing this as a child, the love for it just grew and grew and grew from there. I definitely remember one of them, and that's for sure the creature designs. The combat was very simple. It was that traditional turn-based combat that we still play to this very day. And that's how I was able to get into it. It was simple and yet satisfying, especially when you get those crit hits. And the way you had to find the secrets of a lot of the stuff that you had to get through, the Pokeflu, waking up the Snorlax, and the Lavender Town, and the tower with the Ghastly and the ghosts, and the whole that sad story with Cubone and all that. It really landed a really great first impression for me, with all the story stuff, the secrets, and yada yada yada, all the trade secrets that you were able to have between your friends, and all this stuff before the internet came around. And then the guides as well, those were very helpful as well. Not to mention, the anime brought all of that, pretty much, or most of what we knew about Pokemon, to life. It was just revolutionary at the time. Again, it came in definitely at the right time. whether it was English or Japanese. And man, it's just it just all came together for me to to really like the series to the point where this is still my favorite gaming franchise as a whole, even to this very day. It's still also the biggest franchise within the gaming world, in fact, the entire world. And we had so much in between Red and Blue and Sword and Shield. And, not only the traditional games all in between during the handheld era, we had all the movies to watch and all the merchandise to collect, including the toys and the plushes and the action figures, the little figures that you can collect also. Not to mention the Burger King toys, and it just went through so much, including the mobile game, which was another big phenomenon, by the way. And oh man, it's such a big franchise if you really think about it. It's all over the world. It's loved by so many people, and it's just something everyone knows. So now we finally get Pokemon Sword and Shield on the current console, which is the Nintendo Switch. Pokemon Sword and Shield was first hinted during E3 2017 as part of Nintendo's presentation. Pokemon Company's president, Tsunekazu Ishihara, openly mentioned a Pokemon core RPG game was in the works for the Nintendo Switch. During a press conference on May 30th, 2018 in Japan, Game Freak's third founding member and now producer Junichi Masuda revealed and confirmed that Pokemon was coming to the Switch. Masuda was formerly and widely known as the music composer for much of the Pokemon games all the way to Ultra Sun and Moon. He was also the director as well, including two of my favorite Pokemon games, Ruby Sapphire and Diamond and Pearl. On February 27, 2019, during a special Nintendo Direct, the full name Sword and Shield was unveiled to the world, bringing much excitement once again for the beloved franchise, and more info was dumped during their presentation held at E3 2019. In the following year, Sword and Shield was then released on November 15 worldwide. Despite its supposed boycott due to the absence of National Pokédex and other surrounding controversies, this Pokemon game has surpassed Super Smash Bros. Ultimate as the fastest-selling Switch game to date, with 6 million copies worldwide. Sword and Shield for me is something I really enjoyed mostly. And this playthrough, I went with Sword first, as I bought the double pack and all that. But here are the things I liked about the game. As a console game for the very first time in its core RPG format, the game looks charming, blasting with a variety of colors thanks to the Pokemon, characters, also its level designs and environments. The cities, having to draw inspiration from modern and traditional Europe, especially London, England later on, looked fantastic, and some of them actually made me go, whoa. I think they did a great job putting out a variety of locations this time around. The overall sporty theme they have going with the gym battles is something I liked as well. I thought it was pretty intriguing. It also kind of gives off that esports feel as well, so I guess it works for this later half of the decade. But battling in the gym is visually pleasing with the crowd quite animated here as well. It feels like the Pokemon battles in the anime series. It definitely works here. It adds more to the energy. The Galar Pokemon, importantly, are definitely not bad in the looks department as a whole, featuring some interesting designs and also the simple and lovable Scorbunny and the rest of the starter Pokemon. The trainers, including the gym leaders, appear to have that treatment as well for designs and animations. Bia is absolutely my favorite gym leader. Her fighting type persona and everything else is something I love. Of course, her personality really helps as well. On one hand, she becomes very serious, very sharp. Her eyes become very different in looks when she's, really into the battle. And once it's over, her smile comes out. She got that shine in her eyes and everything. She looks a lot more gentle and very adorable looking. And I think with that, she definitely has the right combination of being cute while being super tough. Nessa is up there too. Her animations are something else. Her pose, her arms cross, like this, and She has that hair flowing and everything. It's just incredibly cool looking. And this time around, I really like the designs for the main protagonist. It's definitely high up there for me, along with Diamond Pearl and Black and White. You can also customize the look on your trainer with various clothing and accessories. I just wish there was a little more variety when it comes to the hairstyles, the clothing line, and so on. There should have been more variety with beanies and bandanas, not just like, baseball caps. Not to mention, they could have done a little more with the facial characteristics like eye shapes, and especially with skin tones. They definitely should have had a more intricate skin color sort of dial to it, so that way you can fine tune and adjust to the right skin tone that you want. During the in-game cutscenes, that doesn't quite boast up to those standards, I guess you can say. It can make the game look a little dated, but beyond that, it doesn't really bother me. I do come from that era of Pokemon, so I'm sort of used to it, but even then I do feel that they should at least kind of spice up how cutscenes go in future Pokemon games. There are a number of attacks that get this treatment as well, with the sort of that neglected treatment of animations, especially during attacks like Double Kick and Mega Kick. Aside from those attacks and a couple more, there are cool things when it comes to the animations, including its new attacks that must be credited. While the graphical fidelity isn't quite there, it still looks great on your handheld or on TV mode, of course. Try not to let the negative feedback from the fan base, as we've kind of seen over the course of its lifetime already, paint the picture for you. It's just something you need to see for yourself. When it comes to the audio portion of things, it's a mixed bag. While the new sound effects are fine, recycled sound effects are still present, and now it's on a console in 2019, and it's really showing its age. It can be charming to a number of people, but it can't be denied that it would be nice if the rest of the Pokemon can be updated like Eevee and Pikachu. I'd be okay if it's a slow process to grab all the voice actors from the anime series to make it into future games. If there was an option for classic sounds and modern sounds, that would be pretty sick. Now when it comes to the characters, maybe at this time it would be nice to have voice actors, but I think Masuda or someone else said that they would have to have voices in different languages to be fair for its consumers, and that would take time. While I do understand that principle and where they're coming from, I think people are just fine with English and Japanese. Plus, to meet the middle ground, at least for right now, just take the classic Zelda route. Have the Japanese voice actors just do grunts and other sounds, and I'll do just fine. There are moments in this game where it really needed a voice in order to make it work, but otherwise it's not really a dire feature on my list of needs. The music is a different story. I enjoyed the new tracks that were in this game. There is a mix of that modern electronic techno music that we hear today, but it also has that, that touch of Pokemon that we love, throughout its years, time and time again. But I gotta be a little picky for this theme here, and it's the evolution theme. Doesn't really have that same gratifying feeling whenever each Pokemon evolve to their next evolution. Man, it's just lost that weight, the whole just pop and satisfaction, and it's just, I don't know, it's just something about it. I don't know what happened to it. I don't know why they thought this was okay. It just comes off as pretty weak in my opinion. It's just weak sauce. But anyway, back on to the things I like. I actually like the gym battle themes. It gets you pumped, and it's got that like nice beat to it, so it's something for me I would use when I go and work out at the gym or something. It's got that like nice pump to it that I can get the feel of. So with that said, the music is pretty good overall as a whole. And if you look at the whole soundtrack here, there's something for the younger players, the newer generation that has just come in here as their first Pokemon game. There's something for them. But while the older players, such as myself, there is something for us as well, since it has that dash of the Pokemon theme or music composition that we always loved back in the day. That's still there, and I think it's got a nice blend, in my opinion. One of the most important elements, the gameplay, still remains to be that same Pokemon game that I loved. There are many quality of life changes that I can say I love about, such as having the access to your Pokemon box almost anytime, anywhere pretty much, especially in the wild area. I absolutely really love that. As simple as it sounds. Back in the day, you can only get to that Pokemon box only if you go to the PC at the Pokemon Center, and even then, you still had to do stuff to even have that access granted to you to get your Pokemon from there. But now essentially, we have smartphones which essentially act like tiny little PCs in our own hands. We have the power of the computer in our hands, if you really think about it. So it all makes sense to let that PC access kind of come to play in a form of a smartphone, and you can access that anywhere, and you can swap out your Pokemon and stuff like that. It's really handy when you're trying to hatch eggs and trying to just change Pokemon for the sake of like attacks that you wanted to cover now, or types or type weaknesses you want to cover. And not to mention, the fast traveling is on par with many JRPGs today, which is a very nice change because there is no need for HM slaves, definitely for even for now, as Sun and Moon kind of gotten rid of that with ride Pokemon. But even ride Pokemon aren't as present here. There's just the one Corviknight kind of with that taxi thing that it carries around. And I think, in fact, it's on the topic of HMs. I think, in fact, there aren't really puzzles in the caves and all the places that you go through. I mean, I guess it makes sense, but it's just something I do miss as well. But I don't know. It's just something for me to point out. On to the new features from Sword and Shield. The wild area, basically an open field where you can go and explore for much of the Pokemon within Galar. I think this feature was pretty cool. It can give off a sense of exploration to a degree, and you can explore more areas as you progress through the game. There are some nice details that should be mentioned involving with the interactions with the wild Pokemon. While many of them are aggressive, there are Pokemon who just walk up to you and just want to be friendly and play with you. That's actually really cool. It just makes me wish that there's more sense of life within the wild Pokemon. Like, for example, imagine Stuffle cubs being protected by Mama Beware. You do not want to fuck with Mama Beware when her kids are involved. Believe me. I also do wish for more variety of structures and exploration spots to discover in future games if the wild area becomes a standard. But here, it's a nice start. There's also the Pokemon Camp. This is where you get to interact with your party Pokemon and also make curry to up their experience and your friendship with them as well, since high friendships allow for more evading and critical hits at crucial times, and it can get stupid at times too, like stupid good, especially with the certain Pokemon only in Sword.
Making curry is a fun process. You kind of just throw a bunch of berries plus a food ingredient that you can find out in the wild area when you're online. Then heat it up, stir it, and put some love into your curry, and you have yourself a dish of pure, wholesome goodness. It's just adorable all around with Pokemon Camp. Lastly, the Pokemon animations here are something to behold and treasure. If this comes back, please add more features such as petting. Sword and Shield's biggest feature, please excuse the pun, is Dynamax and Gigantamaxing. It's the brand new Mega Evolution sort of mechanic essentially. It allows your Pokemon to grow to giant proportions and get powerful moves that comes with different effects. Gigantamaxing takes that a step further, with certain Pokemon actually changing to a whole different appearance like Mega Evolutions would, and also get special attacks and properties along with it. Not to mention they get bigger than Dynamax Pokemon.
I really like this feature because, as I said in my first impressions, it kind of gives me that same feeling or that tingle I get whenever I see Mecha or Kaiju or Mecha and Kaiju in the same screen or whatever. And man, it's so cool because it's kind of like having your own Mecha or having your own Kaiju kind of landing behind you after you activate that Dynamax band. And there goes your Pokemon becoming giant, and they make that landing, and then they roar, and it all comes together for me. And I just really like that aesthetic and the whole shebang, the whole process. I don't know, it's just something about it. It's just, for me, I think it's really cool. Is it better than Mega Evolutions? I wouldn't go that far. It's just different for me, and I like Dynamaxing as much as I do with Mega Evolutions. It just looks cool. I love the aesthetic of the whole giant Pokemon thing standing behind you. It's just a nice aesthetic for some reason, especially with trainers like Nessa. I mean, she got her arms crossed and her Gigantamax Dreadnought just standing there menacingly, and it's just such a very foreboding image, and it's just so cool. And adding to that, they have pretty cool combat animations as well, with all the explosions and the attack effects and stuff. These were pretty well done, I must say.
The game also does some crazy ways to evolve your Pokemon this time around, like Melcery for example. The game also comes with online features. You can battle online with your Pokemon, whether it's against your friends or random players in several modes. You can also co-op with your friends in max raid battles. They are the raids that you'd find in modern MMORPGs.
So there are a lot of redeeming qualities already for this game, but let's not pretend that the negative feedback and the critiques from constructive people are invalid or anything like that. I think that's something I can agree to, and I understand what their standpoint is, and I have to point out things myself as well, or talk about them at least. So here, this is where things get a little shaky.
On the topic of online, when you turn on that online connection, the frame rate dips. The weather effects is the cherry on top of this laggy Sunday. Otherwise, you can turn off that feature and all is good in the hood. But you miss out on really easy treasures that you can sell later on. Also, food ingredients for your delicious curry.
In addition to that, why can't I join my friends' camps or them joining mine? What's up with that? Like you can join the random people's camps that sometimes they think they're funny by camping their tent right on top of your, let's say, your nursery, or the guy that sells TMs or TRs for moves and wishing stars or whatever. So that way you can't. They're essentially blocking you, and they think they're funny that way. And those show up, but not your friends' camp? What's up with that? Like, what is that really all about? This is 2019, and you would think by now Nintendo would get it, at least with Pokemon here. As simple as joining someone's camp that's someone that you know. But no, it's still hard for them to grasp the concept of online co-op gameplay here. it, it's so disappointing that they haven't still gotten that, and so they just really need to get the big picture and get in on the whole online experience, just like PlayStation, Xbox. They just really need to modernize their view on things. They're still kind of like behind mentally, and they just really need to get on that. This always has been happening with, I think, Mario Kart, and then there's Smash Ultimate in its early stages. I think it's still pretty bad, but it's kind of getting there. But it's oof, man, that needs work in my opinion. And then of course Splatoon 2. That was another big one. Like what the heck? Like you would think they would get that right by that second game, but they still no. And then so on and so forth with other kind of with other Nintendo games. But those ones I mentioned, those definitely need some help with online experiences, including Pokemon Sword and Shield. All you have to do, as a fix that you could do possibly in the future, is to go on your friends list, click on their name, and from there you can click on the option like join their camp or trade with them or invite them to max raid. You can just hand pick your friends to join you on the raid or something in case they have this one specific Pokemon or they have this one specific thing or build or whatever it is. Or you just want certain friends to take turns or something, or cycle through your, I guess, your membership or fellowship. I don't know. Point being, you should just be able to have the option of inviting them to your max raid or trading or battle. Even of course that's an important one. And then like I don't know. It's just point being, it's just that simple. Like why can't Nintendo and everyone else around them kind of grasp that concept? Anyways, let's hope that Nintendo gets that soonish, because it's quite irritating to the umpteenth degree. It just literally grinds my freaking gears, or clink, I should say.
The next one is the story. It is to say that it's not a bad story or horrible story by any means. It just doesn't really offer a whole lot in comparison to the previous games. There is, however, one stupid plot point involving with knowing who is the antagonist of the story. When they reveal the villain, it's just really stupid of what the motive is. I found it really dumb personally, but I don't really want to spoil it here. It's not worth the conversation.
I will say something regarding to your rival, Hawke. He has been widely regarded from the internet as the worst rival since Hawke from Sun and Moon. That's, they say he's annoying and he's a pushover. I mean, those points, yeah, maybe initially, but I think I have to disagree with that. Especially when it comes to him being the worst rival. They say that he's annoying just because he, appears a lot and he wants to battle you, and he's a pushover because, you're likely to sweep him because, well, first off, his starter Pokemon is weak to your starter Pokemon. He chooses the one that's weak to your choice, just like Hawke did in Sun and Moon with you. And so, I don't know, even with that, I have to disagree with it. After those points, though, I mean, those things do happen, and I see where they're coming from with that. But beyond that, as the worst rival, I don't know. I have to disagree with that. That's just my feel for him anyway. He goes through, struggles and stuff. That's something we can all relate to. He looks up to his brother as an idol, right? Since his brother Leon is the champion of Galar. And so, he pretty much like puts himself under his shadow. So he tries to become a better Pokemon trainer, to the point where he even copies his brother at some point, but struggles. And that's something we all go through. Like, we, of course, like I said, we have that older sibling, they're doing great and we want to be great like them. And for whatever reason, we struggle trying to achieve that. Whatever circumstances that we're under or reasons that happen surrounding it, we just can't achieve it. So it's something that I personally can relate to, and I know people who go through that struggle as well. So him being the worst, really? Like he goes through development and he still journeys to try to become a better Pokemon trainer, or does he? Anyways, anywho, it's not like he's the only rival in the game anyway. There's the ever so popular Marnie, who is very adorable when she's, shows that determination, you know what I mean? And then there's the sleazeball Bede. Oh, God, he's such an asshole. But he goes to some funny points in the story, and so I do like him as a character, as a sort of a anti-hero, I guess you can say. But either way, I don't know. Him being the worst rival, I just can't come to that. It's just something I have to disagree on based off of what I said or what I believe. But in my opinion, if we're going to really find who's the worst rival here, I think this guy is the worst rival. He's the rival from Pokemon Let's Go, Pikachu, and Eevee. This motherfucker is a sanitized and watered down version of an already existing character, Blue, aka Gary, as we come to kind of affectionately call him, because that's what the anime called him, at least in the English dub, or Shigeru if you follow the Japanese side of things. But anywho, point being, I think this this character is the worst rival ever in a Pokemon game.
So myself and my friends nicknamed this guy Jerry. At least Howell and Hop are their own character. The hate for Hop is purely exaggerated.
Now here comes the big one. The Pokemon roster. Yes, this is something we've all heard about, the people complaining about, and by now we all know what happened with the roster. It got cut down by half, which is, whoa, that was something a lot more than expected. So with that, half of the fan base or community was divided automatically because, well, half of the Pokemon are gone, essentially. And of course, there's a Pokemon for everyone, pretty much. Everyone loves this Pokemon. Or there's someone out there who loves that one Pokemon. Maybe there's the the one guy that loves Muck or Grimer or something, right? Or Ekans. And there was just very questionable choices here. We had the Charizard lineup, and only the Charizard lineup if we were talking about just the other starters that made it into the game. There's no Blastoise, there's no Venusaur, there's no Typhlosion, there's no Feraligatr, and so on and so forth I can name. And so that definitely had a lot of people questioning. And of course, there was no Garchomp, there's no Dragonite for the dragons. There was also no Alolan Pokemon except for Meowth? Alolan Meowth made it into the freaking game? Like, what? I just couldn't believe it when I first saw that with my own two eyes at someone's camp.
Wait. What? Alolan Meowth made it in there, but not fucking Alolan Vulpix? Dude, yeah. Hashtag... No, wait. That's not a... No, that is not a shiny. That's Alolan Meowth! That's Alolan Meowth! He's doing the fucking... The fucking goddamn... He's got the face. He's got the pose and everything. That's Alolan Meowth. What the fuck? I can't believe this guy made it in, but not Alolan Vulpix, man. Fuck him.
Like I said, it definitely divided the community at least by half because the roster being cut by half. But not to mention, there was the whole hashtag with Game Freak lied, National Pokédex, and Dex said and whatever. Especially after, Game Freak lied with the models that apparently are the same from previous games and stuff. So, because one of them said that they had to rework the models from the ground up for Sword and Shield, but apparently that wasn't the case. But there was so much hate going on surrounding this game that the people at Game Freak had low morale, and so they had to cancel the launch event in Japan. Even the Japanese definitely did not like what the changes were implemented into Sword and Shield. So naturally, you know, man, there was low energy in that office, and I would hate to be part of that office if I ever, you know, worked there as a, you know, temp or just some, I don't know, office worker or whatever. I would hate to be a part of that. It was just that bad. This game definitely is the most controversial Pokemon game yet, and as I kind of predicted, you know, in my previous videos, there's absolutely no doubt about it. Now, yes, it is disappointing that I don't get to see all my personal favorites either. There's no Nidoking and whatnot, no Nidoqueen naturally, and there's, you know, other favorites as well. There's no Luxray, and so I don't know. You get the point. On to the next point. There are signs of rushing during its development. It's just there are obvious signs of that, despite the redeeming qualities I mentioned in this review. You know, and that kind of tells me that they really wanted this to come out by the time the new anime coming out with, I think it was called Pokemon I Choose You or Go or something like that. Excuse me if I haven't, you know, updated myself with the anime, but point being, they really wanted to get this out by the new anime's debut, and so that's why there was really no option to delay the game, and they had to just put it out as is. So it really appeared that the higher-ups, whether it's from Nintendo or the investors or whoever, had a hand in this to get the game out by that said date, just so that it can meet the popularity with the new anime, because, well, you know, Pokemon is just that big, you know, it's just kind of not a good feeling, really. But with all that said, here come my final thoughts. At the end of things here, it's still a Pokemon game. Now, yes, it does play it safe by doing what it already is doing. You know, I think the camp, you know, that is a modified version of what already happened in the past, but it's still, you know, a cool feature. And also there's Dynamaxing, which is, you know, something like a step forward sort of from Mega Evolutions. So it's not super revolutionary, but there are enough changes and updates so that fun times are to be had here. And plenty of that was had with me, with, you know, my experiences in Pokemon Sword. I really liked it. It's, you know, it's a good debut as a, you know, Pokemon entry game for the Nintendo Switch. And you have to admit, a lot of those negatives are exaggerated. Once you actually start playing the game, it kind of just flies over your head. I mean, yeah, you see them, you know it's there, but you kind of just forget about it because the game is still that much fun. You're gonna be addicted to trying to catch that Pokemon with the perfect stats, or just the satisfaction of completing the Pokédex of what's already given to you and stuff. And for what it is, it's a really good debut and launch of a first Pokemon game on a console. There are plenty of cool new animations to see, and it's still charming at that. It still has that Pokemon essence. Not as much as I could have, but it's still there, and that's where I like to give credit to. And it's still addicting to the point where I stayed up till 8 a.m. in the morning on a Friday night or something. It was just that addicting. This game operates great on TV and handheld mode. It's perfect in that sense. It's such a perfect game for it. You know, there's no executions and like that. You can just sit back, you know, slouch and kind of be in a nice, comfortable position to, you know, play Pokemon, since, you know, it's kind of point and click. And oh, man, you know, it's such a perfect fit for the Nintendo Switch. Now, yes, it is short relatively for a Pokemon game. I beat everything, including the post-game stuff, within 50 hours, I would say. I think that's a pretty common number for a lot of people, at least in my situation anyway, with work and all that stuff. 50 hours is where I am at. Speaking of the post-game, yes, it is on the weaker side. If you compare it to the other Pokemon games in the past, you know, you're not gonna really see anything super special, but there are still redeeming qualities that are worth checking out for the post-game in Sword and Shield. But even after the post game, there's just still things to do for me in the game, like battling more Dynamax Pokemon or Gigantamax Pokemon, and also the events that will come out in the future with more Dynamax Pokemon or Gigantamax Pokemon, hopefully, like brand new ones. And this is something where they should take the opportunity to at least trickle in some of the older Pokemon, like Nidoking, for example. That would be pretty cool, or Kangaskhan, or I don't know. There are a lot of Pokemon out there to be chosen. I just love the fact that the Nintendo Switch is now the new home of the Pokemon games. The 3DS can now retire for the future Pokemon games. It can now just happily rest and still be played, of course. You can still enjoy it. I'm not saying that, it's dead and you can throw it away or whatever. Man, you can still enjoy all the past games of Pokemon or whatever else you have in your library. So now it's time for the score here for Pokemon Sword and Shield. So with this game, for me, it really deserves a solid 7 out of 10. Even with its shortcomings, the game is still fun and addicting, and that's what really matters to me here. So I really recommend it still. Whether you're a Pokemon fan or not, this is a pretty good Pokemon game to kind of come into as well. This could have been an opportunity for Sword and Shield to be like that game for the new possible fans or new players. As I kind of said in one of my previous videos, that they should have just probably just throw in, I don't know, 150 to let's say 200 Pokemon that are exclusive for Sword and Shield, the brand new Pokemon. So that way, people can have their own Red and Blue to look back on the Pokemon games that they played and stuff like that, like I do with Red and Blue as a veteran. So there was still, room for potential, but still, it's still great on your TV, still great on the go. And man, it's just, I still can't believe we have an actual Pokemon game on a console like the Nintendo Switch, and that's the system that I really like, and lo and behold, we have a Pokemon game. So I'm very happy, even with the the whole hate and the negative feedback from fans and all the anger and hate and whatever. But it's funny because all that boycotting didn't really affect the sales of the game. It still had a really big launch. So there's definitely hope for its future as to whether these Pokemon games are going to continue on the Switch or not. I think we can definitely say it's safe for the consistency of things, and so I hope that we can see updates and fixes and requests from fans to add in over time and stuff for whether it's Sword and Shield 2 or any other future Pokemon game that people can think of or want to think of. And like I said, the lifetime of Sword and Shield could go on a little longer if they actually went through adding events, including the other Pokemon and stuff in their Gigantamax forms. That would be pretty cool as a way to kind of ease in more Pokemon. And there's that the integration of Pokemon Home coming in soonish, hopefully. There's just a lot of things. There's a lot of possibilities now that we've seen Pokemon Sword and Shield in fruition. Let's just hope that Game Freak comes around and tries to take care of the major bumps on the road, including their communication. That's something they really need to work on. Of course, polish up their console game experience so that way it's a lot more streamlined and stuff, and possibly we'll definitely have a much more extravagant Pokemon game on that Switch. Will hopefully come to existence by the time we're still around, I guess. I am fully prepared for a Sword and Shield 2 that's been kind of trending as of late, with Ultra Sun and Moon being the latest. Of course, there was Black and White 2 in the past. I think that's really what's going to happen here with Pokemon Sword and Shield. But I would rather see a Diamond and Pearl remake that a lot of rumors have been bringing up for Pokemon. That would be pretty sick. Seeing how Sword and Shield turned out, I would love to see the stuff that they'll do for the remake of Diamond and Pearl. That would be pretty cool. It's one of my favorite games of all time when it comes to Pokemon. besides Ruby and Sapphire. I know they already did Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, but point being, Diamond and Pearl on the Switch will be great. I would love to get into that, once that comes out, if that comes true. So that's pretty much it for my review for Pokemon Sword and Shield. Again, it's a 7 out of 10. I highly recommend it, and I'm just super satisfied and happy that this all happened. I'm pretty done with the game when it comes to the main game portion of things and post game. So I'm just pretty much like collecting the Dynamax Pokemon and helping my friends, fight the 5-star Dynamax Pokemon or Gigantamax Pokemon. It's still fun. I'm still gonna keep going with it as much as I can and just wait for anything new for Pokemon at this point. And then Pokemon Home and then just whatever else new comes out at that point. So if you have any related comments or anything for Pokemon Sword and Shield or this review or anything like that, please let me know down below. Love to check them out. And also don't forget to hit the like and subscribe for this channel. Really helps out. Really appreciate it, guys. And also don't forget to set up the settings to all for the bell once you hit the bell. That way you can know when I put out more videos and stuff, because a lot of people miss out because of the stupid bell. But hit it all, and there you go. That's pretty much the problem solved, hopefully. But anyways, I think it's safe to say that this is probably going to be my last major review I'll do for this year. I'm just looking forward to 2020. There's already a lot of games to look forward to. Oh boy, I mean, February, March, April, those 3 months are jam-packed, I would say, including Animal Crossing. That's, oh man, I really can't wait for that game to come to the Switch. And then of course there's Final Fantasy VII that everyone's been raving about, and Cyberpunk. Oh man, oh. But anyways, I mean, I'm happy with the games that came out here, including Pokemon Sword and Shield. So I think Sunny's pretty satisfied. He's very content like me. So with that, we're gonna set off to whatever the wind takes us, or Game Freak takes us when it comes to Pokemon, and we're just gonna keep wandering around in Galar until we see a new place or a new region. We'll see about that. So thank you guys so much. This has been Sean, and I guess Sunny here for the review of Pokemon Sword and Shield. Thank you guys so much for your viewing and your time. I'll see you guys in the next video, and I guess the next year, I guess. We'll see. See you guys in the next video. Sean out. The stupid uniform I had to wear when I, battled those gym leaders, and including Leon. Stupid.